Welcome, everybody. Road warrior today. Yeah, I got to be on the road today and on the road tomorrow and on the road Sunday. Lacrosse tournaments here, there, and everywhere. I got to head. I got to go someplace in Jersey today for my daughter. Anyway, all good. Gonna be a little bit short and sweet today. I want to first talk about again the testimony Jay Powell yesterday, and I want to focus on the people asking the questions. It makes me sad. I mean, it really does. I mean, I watch what some of these members of Congress ask Jay Powell, and you can do comedy routines based just upon the utter ignorance of these people, and but it just makes me sad. You start thinking, how in the world did these people get elected? There was one guy, it's the top of my head from yesterday, one guy from California, and he started to ask Jay Powell what the inflation rate was in Estonia and Bulgaria and all of these little tiny countries in Europe. And he followed it up after Jay Powell didn't know the answer, and he'd give them the answer, and he'd say, did they get any of the stimulus act that Biden passed? No, they didn't, and they've got inflation. Are you really that stupid? And you know what? Honestly, shame on you people who vote for these morons. Shame on you. How do you vote for somebody that's that vapid? Honestly, you have to watch a little bit of C-SPAN from time to time. You really do. It's going to start making you rethink a little bit about who you're actually voting for. I mean, these people, not many brain cells to rub together. That being said, Jay Powell was more guarded yesterday. He had some specific questions asked in regards to things that Congress did and spending and Build Back Better. And he just wanted no part of that at all. Wanted no part of it at all. I'm sure he probably got his warning. Somebody made a phone call or two after day one's hearings. And he kind of backed off to some degree and deferred on all of that. But that's what they're pushing right now. There's a couple narratives, and that's one of the things that we pride ourselves on. What we do is to try to destroy conventional wisdom. Conventional wisdom is poison. The building of narratives. I've described narratives. They're like a virus. They really are. They're like a virus, and they start infecting people's minds, and then it spreads. And it spreads further. I go back to, who was it? Was it Benjamin Franklin said a lie will make its way halfway around the world before the truth gets out the front door, something like that? Well, in today's day and age, because of the internet and social media and the media at large, a lie will make its way millions of times around the world before the truth gets out the front door. And this is what we end up with. We end up with ridiculous narratives, and they try to sell people on things. They actually work together. I don't know if you remember this. It was just fascinating to me. This was the early stages of the internet. It's late 1990s. They discovered some sort of it was like a chat room. I forgot what these things were called back in the time, but you could subscribe to them and you could be a member of it. They called it Journalist. Do you remember this? And it was all members of the mainstream media would get together on this Journalist, different CNN, ABC, NBC, whatever it may be, and they would get the story straight, in essence. This is how they were going to cover a certain story. This was the direction we're going to take everybody in, and they would get together on that. It was funny. Rush Limbaugh on his program used to play this montage back in the day after it was the mainstream media talking about Dick Cheney and what Dick Cheney brought to the Bush ticket. And the word that they used was gravitas. I said a word that you hear all the time. As all of a sudden, I guess many of these started picking up Latin, but they all used it. He brings gravitas to the ticket. Every single one of them. But anyway, the narrative right now that they're trying to push, and this is what I got from yesterday, is that inflation is good. That's right. Inflation is good. This is what they're trying to push. It's a good thing now. This is what they want you to believe. You're supposed to bend over like Kevin Bacon in Animal House and whack. Thank you, sir. May I have another? Whack. This is what they're trying to push on people right now. Oh, you had members of Congress yelling, screaming, hey, these packages took people out of poverty and we helped people during the rise. All this stuff that inflation is now a good thing. Hey, you can't make this stuff up. Now, do I have, I don't know, they're obviously getting desperate. It's going to be a difficult sell. I mean, even for the dumbest of dumb, and we've got a lot of them here in this country. I'm sorry, we do. Even for the dumbest of dumb, it's going to be a real tough sell. Every single time you go to the pump and you're paying ridiculous prices, and you're going to the grocery store and you're taking a look at your bill and you want to throw up. You can't believe how much you're spending. It's going to be difficult for people to say, this is somehow a good thing. And even Joe Biden tried to do that. It's a time of war. Wartime. We're not at war, Joe. Okay? We're not. We're not at war. You declare war on anybody? Well, because there's a war? Wars happen all the time. It's because of you're doing this. We're paying these higher prices because of democracy. Shut up, man. Just shut up. Stop talking. Anyway, everyone's going to be making fun of this and how, but it's not funny. It really isn't. The Joe Biden yesterday is giving some, I don't know, chit chat in regards to windmills or something. I who knows. And he holds up his card, his cheat sheet, and the press caught it. And it's as if his handlers, it's like they're giving directions to a pet. You enter the Roosevelt room and say hello to participants. You, and you is capitalized. Take your seat, your is capitalized. Press enters. You give brief comments. Press departs. You ask Liz Schuler, President AFL-CIO, a question. You thank participants. You depart. This is a guy. This is the president of the United States. I don't know who's really running the show at this point in time. I really don't. But you got to feel sorry. I mentioned this before. I can't even believe he's married. His wife is allowing this to happen. It's sad. It really is. It's not funny. It's pathetic. Again, shame on us. Shame on us. Elections have consequences. You missed yesterday's podcast. I'm sorry. I'm going to go back a little bit. I had a bit of an epiphany moment. Yeah, Andrew Gillum, the guy who just barely lost to DeSantis in Florida. They had to do a recount. He was just indicted for a myriad of different fraud charges. It's the same guy that they found, passed out, drugs with hookers and all sorts of stuff. Listen, this guy was almost governor of the state of Florida. It was that close. Do you think that? Do you think that Citadel? There's a story. Guy warned it. Citadel moving to Miami from Chicago. Do you think that they'd be moving there if Gillum was governor? Do you think that Florida would be booming like they are now? Could you imagine what would have happened in Florida with COVID You know what? States like Florida and Texas and many others helped keep our economy afloat because they didn't shut down. That wouldn't have been the case if Gillum was there. He would have went right along with Fauci and the gang. I want everybody to kind of get your arms around that, okay? Next time you meander your way into a voting booth, okay, I want you to actually think about the consequences every single time you pull that lever. I'm old school. Fill out the card and then put it into the machine. Anyway, I give credit to the guy sometimes. I do, but I know who he is. That's okay. It's okay. He's listen, he's got a much bigger audience than I do. He's built it up over the years. That's Jim Cramer on CNBC. But I know who he is, okay? And we've gone over, various different nonsensical picks and things that he said over the years. I've actually given him credit as of late. Over the past year, he's actually gotten more into the concept of proper asset allocation, financial planning, and not being the buy, sell, hold guy that he used to be. But the guy, again, he's a part of, CNBC, and they have the various different biases that are built in. And the guy, without a doubt, sticks his finger in the air and he sees which way the wind is blowing, and that's the direction he goes. He was basically, praising big oil. I mean, how many times has Jim on his program, gone off on big oil and talking about climate change and green this and green that? Now, he sees which way the wind is blowing at this point in time. And he actually started talking about how Biden needs to start working with business to help bring inflation down. Yeah. You know how you work with business? You get the hell out of the way. You get out of the way. You let business owners do what they do. You reduce regulations across the board. They tried that. Yeah, the Republicans tried that yesterday in the Jay Powell testimony. Talking about regulations, and do you think lowering regulations would be helpful? And actually, Jay agreed. He said, yes, it lowers their costs, and he did it in a roundabout way. But of course, I've described the plight of business owners. I'm a small business owner like myself. It's difficult. It's a 7-day-a-week job. And there's always issues you're going to have to contend with all the time. It's like a minefield, and you want to avoid the mines. Now, the mines are out there, okay? You find them, you know where the issues are going to be, you handle them, and you know where they are, so you don't tread there. You put a little flag, there's a mine there. Well, what the government does, in essence, is not only do they plant mines to make business more difficult, they move them around. They change things. You know how much time I have to waste every single year taking a look at whatever the SEC is going to throw at us next? From ESG nonsense on through. I mentioned that here. I had to buy some sort of social governance insurance so I could continue to do business with some of our clearing banks. What? So I got to spend a couple $1,000. I got to spend a couple $1,000 a year just in case somebody says that I'm not woke or what. I don't get it. They try to explain it to me, but all I know is it's a scam. It's a racket. That's in essence kind of how the government operates. It's just kind of like you got to pay your VIG. And this is why it's harder on small businesses, because smaller businesses have a harder time paying those VIGs. So, regulations for super big companies, they call it regulatory capture, can be beneficial to some. But let's be honest here, okay? The government wants to take you out. They can take you out. They can. And it's one of the reasons why. One of the reasons why a lot of these energy companies are just hesitant to do anything. They see. You get a guy that's coming into office basically saying, President of the United States saying that, you know what, I'm going to put you out of business. You have a fiduciary duty to your shareholders as the CEO of one of these companies. What are you going to do? You're going to retrench. You're going to try to fight the government as best you possibly can, and you're going to try to return money to shareholders because that's your job. Anyway, moving on. Actually, a lengthy story about nuclear power in the Wall Street Journal today and how it's poised for a comeback. But the issue, and it's not just here, this is globally, they don't have anybody that can actually make the things. I'm not kidding. Go through this entire column. We don't have the welders. We don't have all of the technicians. None of this stuff. Could be me, call me crazy, but we might want to get rid of maybe that gender studies degree or whatever the hell crap that we're teaching and maybe get into this. This seems to me, everybody wants to build these things now. They don't have the people that can do it. This is, highly, salaried, so that you're going to make big money doing this, right? Why are we not training people to do this? Anyway, story. It's almost unbelievable. People are having their job offers rescinded days before they start. Yeah, this is happening more and more and more. Companies are taking a second look. And they're saying to themselves, geez, we're not going to have access to capital like we thought we do. We might have needed to raise money down the road. We're going to have to be a little bit more careful. You should have been careful in the first place. You should, just because you have access, I never said this, just because you have access to capital and money on the phone doesn't mean you have to spend it. You can keep your powder dry. You don't, as a business owner, I look at this all the time and they spend money. I'm like, it's burning a hole in their pocket. Hold on. I understand you want to grow. But sometimes, you do it little by little. Like my mother-in-law says, in Greek, siga, siga, little by little. You don't have to do it all at once. Intel is, they said that their semiconductor factory that they're supposed to be putting up in Ohio, it's going to be delayed unless the government gets off its buttocks. Yesterday here on the program, it was interesting. We talked about the semiconductor problems that we have here in this country, and the fact that we rely 92% of the high-end semiconductors come from Taiwan. Now, again, I want you to get your arms around this. It's the United States of America. And you got to ask the question, who the hell's in charge of this freaking place? How dumb can we be? You have a country that a large swath of the world doesn't recognize as a country. Okay? Large swath doesn't recognize it as a country. Breakaway province from China. China thinks Taiwan is theirs. And obviously, you could see there could be some issues there. What happens if China says, hey, you know what? We're taking the damn place. Are we really going to be able to do anything? I don't see it happening. I don't. So then we're going to rely on China for the same chips that go into, guess what? Weapons. Laptops, cell phones. Now, it's more expensive to manufacture chips here in the United States, much more expensive than it is in Asia. So the government wants to help subsidize some of these semiconductor plants that are going up. Intel, I think, is putting up $20 billion for this. It's that's the initial investment. The plant itself is going to cost $100 billion. Don't you think this is a bit of a national security issue? Yeah, I know you guys in the military are focused on climate change. But don't you think that this is a bit of a national security issue? I mean, how much do you want to rely upon other nations? Do you want to rely upon Saudi Arabia for oil? You're going to rely upon China eventually for all of our semiconductors. What about all the rare earth minerals that you need to go into all these batteries for your green revolution? Where do they come from? Yeah, they come from China too. Anyway, again, we're talking Candyland versus 3D chess. Russia is earning more than $100 million every day from the gas it sells to Europe, despite the fact that they slash deliveries. So basically, they got a 75% cut in supply, but they're still making the same amount of money on the gas that they're sending there that they were prior to all the shutdowns. Guys want to explain to me how this makes any sense whatsoever? Does it? Dumb. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Have a great weekend, everybody.